Joining me now to discuss this, Navy Top Gun graduate, FA-18 fighter pilot, mental health advocate, and founder of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, Matthew Whiz Buckley. Matthew, thank you for your service and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rick. I appreciate it.
I understand that you faced depression, PTSD, and the lasting effects of a brain injury after your flying days ended, and you found an unusual solution. Can you explain how psychedelics helped you?
Well, absolutely, Rick. If 5 years ago, Whiz saw me talking about the subject we're going to talk about, lunch money, but about 4.5 years ago, Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell and I, another Navy SEAL, and then an NFL veteran who was suffering from some pretty horrific head trauma. We flew into San Diego, and then we jumped in a car and drove across to Mexico to a treatment center. Why? Because if you do this in San Diego, you're a felon. If you do it across the border of Mexico, it can potentially save and change your life. So we sat with one of the most powerful psychedelics on the planet called Ibogaine. And I'll give you the cliff notes, Rick. I got 40 years of therapy in 14 hours. It was not fun. It was not recreational. It was one of the most challenging experiences of my life, but it literally saved and changed my life. And I got home and I said, hey, this is how we're going to end veteran suicide.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got a challenge on your hands trying to get that sort of thing approved here. Am I wrong? Are you running into roadblocks?
We were, Rick, but as you alluded to, and I hate putting this out to the universe, Rick, could you imagine, not once a year, I'm talking every day, could you imagine if 40 children were being killed every day in our schools? Even the pro-gun folks would go absolutely nuts. We do something, but since it's the veteran community, we get thanks for your service and a shrug, and oh, that's too bad for those folks. Well, thank you to President Trump and Secretary Collins at the VA, and obviously HHS Secretary, who said a couple months ago, we want to get psychedelics in the hands of veterans who want them in the next 12 months. So this administration is actually leading. I got it wrong, Rick. I thought the Democrats were already there, the party of hippies and drug rugs and Molly and anti-war. Well, that turned out to be wrong, my brother. We're actually a little bit more in bed than the Republicans. And then when the Republicans heard that these are helping veterans, they're starting to move. As soon as I hang up with you, I'm heading to a fundraiser tonight in Houston with Congressman Morgan Luttrell, Congressman Crenshaw, my initial medicine brother, Marcus Luttrell, and I don't know if former Governor Perry is going to be there or not, but it's a fundraiser called Americans for Ibogaine. So we're not waiting, Rick. We cannot wait when we are losing this many of our heroes. We've lost 160,000 veterans to suicide since 9/11, while losing about 7,000 in actual combat. We're losing the war at home.
It is. The numbers are stunning and awful. Please say hi to Marcus for me and ask him to come on my show sometime, too, in the future. I've met him before. He's an awesome dude, really talented and really intense. And I'm impressed to hear that he also is benefiting from this. Why do you think traditional medicine has failed so many patients?
Well, Rick, there's no money in healing. There's a revolving door between the VA and Big Pharma. And these aren't new. Like, we're acting in the West like, oh, hey, we just discovered these compounds. Rick, they've been used for thousands and thousands of years in cultures around the world. But sadly, the initial war on drug with Richard Nixon was to tar these compounds because people were peaceful. They didn't want to go to war in Vietnam. They loved their neighbor. And Richard Nixon at the time said, well, that's clearly subversive. These things are now a felony. Here's your rifle and still go kill people. So there's no money in healing. And these things, I believe God put these compounds on this planet for us to heal. So we have some challenges ahead. As you said, when I was in Washington years ago, I'll never forget a congressman who shall remain nameless behind closed doors said, Whiz, I love what you're doing. And I was like, great. And he said, well, you're going to have a problem with the big pharma and the alcohol and tobacco lobby. So lead, follower, get out of the way, Rick. We're leading on this. We're not following or waiting.
None of that surprises me. And there are studies that back you up, Whiz, on psychedelic therapy showing significant lasting improvements in PTSD and depression, anxiety, sleep disorders. For veterans specifically, what role do these therapies play in helping rebuild the sense of brotherhood and community that's missing after leaving service? Is that part of this?
It's 100% part of this, Rick. When you transition out of the military, you kind of lose that mission, that sense of purpose, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. And the military does a great job of turning us into humans that can do some awful things to another human. But when they're done with us, they kind of do a pretty crappy job, so to speak, turning us back into the human. These medicines knock all that funk and depression and drugs or alcohol and PTS off and show us the who we were before all of this stuff. And at the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, I think we're close to about 100 grants to date. Knock on wood, Rick, we haven't had a single veteran come home from a retreat and say, complete waste of time, I'm worse. What was that? Every single one of these people, these heroes, have said that was a transformational experience. And how do I put the ladder down? How can I go back in the fire and grab a brother or sister?
Well, Matthew Whiz Buckley, count me in to help in any way that I can, okay? I'm serious.
Thank you, my brother. It's one team, one fight. We really have to heal our heroes. It's just an absolute tragedy. And I appreciate you pitching into the fight as well and highlighting it tonight.
For sure. Good luck. Coming up at